Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Japanese Tier 8 Premium Heavy Tank, the Orochi O-NI. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Orochi O-NI. It is the tank that you are going to get for free in the level 100 Season Pass for the new Tigers Season Pass. What's it like? Well, it's a big, derpy Japanese heavy tank. If you know what the Japanese heavies are all about, that's what you're going to get out of the Orochi O-NI. It's basically the Tier 7 O-NI, but up at Tier 8. And in lieu of that, you've obviously gained stuff like vertical stabilizer, or the gun stabilizer, sorry, for the tank. You've gained more armor, because they've buffed the armor of it to be better, well, more in line with the O-Ho. Although I do think the O-Ho's armor's better, just because of angling and stuff like that. You have the multi-turret system on this tank, so you actually have multiple weapons, which can be a little bit of a frustration, honestly, with this tank. As useful as they are a little bit annoying to have. And then you are pretty damn slow. But you do have 2 choices of guns. You've got this 15cm cannon, which is the Derp gun, which is the fun one, I'd say. It's the meme gun. If you want to take this tank not that seriously and have a good meme, you can play with the Derp gun, you'll have a good laugh. And if you like derp guns, then obviously this is the gun for you. And then you've got the more serious gun. You've got the 10cm cannon, which is a very, very good gun for the tank. It is very consistent. Its damage per minute is great. It's pretty damn accurate. Its penetration's okay. And it just keeps going. It consistently racks up damage. And it's a very, very nice gun to use. So if you're going to take the gun more seriously, that's probably the gun that you are going to want. And really, if you were to ever try and 3-mark it, that's probably the best way to do it, because that's the way that you consistently will be getting damage. But obviously, there'll be some matchups where this 15cm is probably better. And that's because, obviously, it is a derp gun. You don't really have to worry all that much about where you're hitting tanks. You just derp them, and then you just do damage, which is what you're seeing in this first replay. And this first replay is definitely the more average experience I've had in the tank, and it's definitely the more average experience generally of the O-NI, whereas you trundle towards a flank, try and get yourself stuck in, and when you're in a tier 10 lobby, your armor means basically nothing. And this is the thing, right, with the Orochi O-NI compared to the O-Ho, is that while you do have armor that's comparable in terms of thickness, the O-NI's armor is a lot flatter in a lot more places than the O-Ho is, and thus the armor is a little bit less effective. Because the O-Ho just has loads of random angles that love bouncing shots. The other issue is these turrets on the front, which can be a little bit annoying because they will keep turning with your camera, which means that if you're just looking another way, the turrets will turn with your camera even if you're locking the main cannon. And that means that they basically become giant weak spots for the enemy to shoot, and they become very, very easy to pen. The way to negate that is that you have to, right at the start of the game, because you can see right now, I'm looking wherever, and both of these cannons are looking at the floor. That's because if you switch to the left cannon, and then the right cannon, and hold RB when you do it, it will lock them into looking at the last position you did until you, well, after you switch. So they will now remain locked into looking at the floor for the entire game until I switch back to them. Which helps, because there's one of the frustrations with the Orochi O-NI and the multi-tank, multi-weapon systems or multi-turret systems in general in this game in World War II, is that the multiple reticles that stay on your screen is really frustrating. And it's something that I really hope that they change one day, is the fact that you have the reticles for all 3 guns on your screen at the same time, which means if they're all looking in the same direction, you don't really know which cannon is fully aimed. And it's really, really frustrating. It gets really, really confusing, and it just boggles the mind at times. So it's really something that I do hope they change for the Orochi O-NI. But a way to get over that is do exactly what I've done in this game, and you're going to see me do it again in a game or 2 as well, where I just point them basically at the floor, hold RB as I do it, and thus, when I switch back to the main cannon, they're both looking at the floor. I don't have the problem of them looking wherever they want to, and yeah, we don't have any of those sorts of issues. So what do I run in terms of a crew on the old Orochi O-NI? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Track Mechanic, and Rapid Aim. Rapid Aim to make sure that its turret traverse is as good as possible, because it's a very, very slow turret traverse, and I want to try and get this gun in as quickly as I can on target. You could run off-road driving if you wanted to make it so that you help yourself to the top speed. To be honest, you're already so slow that you may as well just help the turret traverse and get the gun on target as quickly as possible when things get spotted. And then I run all 3 gun perks because this is a derp gun and I want to help it out as much as possible. Same with the 10cm cannon as well, because I just want to help that gun be able to hit all of its shots and use its fantastic DPM. And all the other perks you're generally going to take in World War II. And then in terms of equipment on the tank, I run Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Advanced Loader to be able to make the DPM 10% better, the Gun Stabilizer to make this gun as good as possible again, and it's something that's quite nice to have for a derp gun like this, and the Optics to be able to spot for myself, because yeah, this tank has a base view range of 360, which is really not much at all, and it's pretty blind, so you want to be able to help out the view range as much as possible, and then with the setup I've got, you can get up to 461 meters of view range, which it means you can spot things over the 445, you know, up to the 445 meter cap, and you can devalue some camo, but it means you really not got the best view range in the universe, and you will get out-spotted quite a lot in this tank, especially since you have 0 camo, because you are a big Japanese sumo wrestler of a tank. So yeah, the Orochi O-NI does have that 360 meters base view range, which is really not great. Your top speed on this tank is 25 kilometers an hour, with a 10 kilometer an hour reverse speed, which again is really not very good. It's pretty damn slow, and there, again, with all big slow tanks, you got to bear in mind that you will have games where they just get away from you, and you can never get the gun in the game, essentially, or your team just dies very, very quickly, and then you get wrecked by their team. It happens a lot. But you get games like this where this is the average game for where you can actually get yourself stuck in, and then you end up getting against some of the higher tier tanks that you saw. The SDRV, the Object 257, laughed at by Armour, really, but we managed to just keep using the ridgeline, keep ourselves being patient, and keep slapping out the rounds, and we finished with 1262 base XP with 2.6k damage. And yeah, that's just where you manage to get yourself into a position where you can get stuck into the fight, and thus you've just got to be patient, especially in a matchup like that. You've got to be patient. You've got to find your times, find your timing to get the shots in, and try and have a good time with the Orochi O-NI in general. So yeah, this tank with the 15 centimeter that you're going to see in the second replay is 0.54 base accuracy, which is derp gun. It's a derp gun. It's very derpy. You got 3.6 seconds aim time as well, which is pretty damn horrid. It takes a long time to get this gun aimed in, and because it does bloom out quite a lot, because you are a derp gun, it takes a wee while to get the gun aimed in. You do have 1.37 accuracy during rotation, which is pretty poor, but your accuracy during movement at 1.69 is not that bad though, which is quite nice. That's because you are very, very slow, so it doesn't affect your gun bloom or your aiming circle bloom that much anyway. You do have 10 degrees of gun depression though, which is quite nice for the Orochi O-NI, but you got to bear in mind that you do lose some of that over the turrets on the front, and the boobies do get in the way of your ability to fire at people, which is a little bit frustrating sometimes, but it is what it is. So yeah, we're on the second replay, and the second replay we are on this map, which is Sand River, and we've done the thing that we want to do in this top tier matchup, which is go to the middle. We went to the middle of the river, well, the riverbed, I should say, and this is where we can use this corner, poke round, and just keep derping. So we just want to aim for tracks at this point. This is what I'm thinking my whole time. If I can keep blowing off tracks, my team can shoot them, and thus I will get assistance. Plus, I'm keeping them pinned in awkward positions. You can see it's a little bit awkward with the gun depression. I am having to aim to the left quite a bit to get over the boobies, and thus be able to get my gun depression. It does make it very, very awkward. I decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to come in to be closer to these guys, because they keep pulling back around the corner. Could be a bit of a mistake, because they do have TDs that could be sitting back at H8, which would make poking these guys awkward, but we're doing it anyway. And you can see, we're just trying to get the gun down on target, and again, because this tank is so tall, it's where we do struggle to get the gun on target, and we have to overexpose our sidearm a little bit to be able to get the gun down to shoot them, which is why coming this close to them was possibly a bit of a mistake, but it is what it is. We are still managing to tick up the damage, though. We're up to 1,694 damage, and this is where the derp gun is definitely nicer than the 10 centimeter, because I don't really have to aim, and I can just keep poking around, going derp, track them, do them for 200-300 damage, pull back, get safe. That's the beauty of the derp gun, is that I can just keep doing this. I don't have to think like this HMH AMX M449, sorry. I have to aim for his cupola. I couldn't pen him in that situation. I would have to aim for his cupola, which gives him a free chance to get a shot into us, which we don't want. So we're just keeping popping shots, but derp guns be derp guns, and thus we missed that shot somehow. And yeah, that is the thing. I mean, with this Derp gun, you do have 121 penetration on the AP rounds with 150 on the heat rounds, 75 penetration on the HE rounds, by the way, which means you can pen quite a few of the lightly armoured tanks. The heat rounds, because of the accuracy and the aim time and stuff like that, while 150 pen can actually pen quite a few things, especially if you get them in the side and stuff like that. It's very, very inconsistent, and because of how derpy the gun is, it can be a bit of pain. But you can see, this is why I just stick with the HE, because I can just keep delivering the shots. Oh boy, I'm not sure what that SU-130 PM was doing. We deliver the HE round for 943. We're now using the multi-weapon system to get him, so you can see this is where the multi-weapon system can be damn helpful for the Orochi, and we managed to shut down that guy before he was ready. We shut down the HMH M449 with the HE rounds to get rid of him with a shot to the front. We're up to 4,074 damage with this Derp gun with 62 assistance. We are blocking quite a lot as well. We get a shot into the Huntsman. We bounce a heat round from the Bone Shaker that's back there, and we're just pulling back around the corner to try and keep ourselves from taking a hit from this IS Desmond Tutu. And we just managed to get the shot into his track. He does pen us straight through the lower plate, though, because obviously he switched to premium rounds, because that's what he needs to do. We're just going to keep him tracked with the multi-weapon system, wait for our main reload to be able to finish this guy off. Sadly, he pens us in the lower plate again just before we manage to shut him down. That punts us down to a one-shot for the Bone Shaker, which is a little bit awkward, because if this guy comes after us with heat, his 300 pen heat rounds are going to absolutely melt our armor, which is not a good time. So we're just keeping ourselves covered, and then the Bone Shaker's come. It's like, oh no. We aim for the track to track him in place, but sadly, it doesn't track him. He turns his gun on us, and his heat round goes straight through. And, well, we weren't angled the best anyway, but his heat round was going to go through us regardless. And we finished with the victory, 3 kills, 4.8k damage, 3.9k blocked, the ace tank of the high caliber, with the, if we get there, 1970 base XP. Really nice game there for the Orochi O-NI, which showed the Derp gun being able to hold a corner, right? The Derp gun, in that sort of situation, when you are top tier, those things are not going to pen you every time, and we could just keep farming. We could just keep slinging out the rounds from this Derp gun and having a good time. But now, we're on to the third replay, and this third replay, the final replay of the video, shows off the 10cm cannon, which is the most consistent gun on this tank. It is a very, very good gun. The 10cm gun has 215 penetration on its standard AP rounds, with 253 penetration on its premium AP rounds as well. Or, well, it says APCR, but it's premium AP. But anyway, the ammo max speed is 916 meters a second on both rounds, which means that it's not the fastest round in the universe, but it hits for 330 damage, which is really, really nice. And with the build I've got, because the base reload is 9 seconds, with the build I've got it down to 6.56 second reload, which is 3k DPM, which is utterly beautiful. It shreds. It's so consistent with its hits, it really does rack up damage very, very quickly. You also have 2.6 second aim time on base, which, again, is not too bad. It's not good, but you can get that down to 2.4 seconds with the build I've got, which is exactly the same as the Derp gun. And then 0.39 base accuracy as well, which is down to 0.32 with the build that we have. The accuracy during rotation is 0.89 with this gun, and the accuracy during movement is Its accuracy during movement is 1.22. Which is really, really good, which is why this gun is pretty much always ready to go. And it's one of the things that makes this gun so glorious to use, is that it does help you just rack up the damage so, so quickly. And you're going to see that in this replay. We are bottom tier, which is not great. This E100 is driven into a position where you can just keep shooting at us. I'm not sure what this E100 is trying to accomplish, but we have gone for his drive wheel to track him in place. We can't quite keep him permatracked, but we do go for the shot into his... Well, we're just avoiding the spaced armor. We are firing premium. Shot through the lower plate, which keeps going. He fires a shot at us, and he's firing HE from the 15cm cannon. It's like, oh, okay, Mr. E100, then just let me farm all of your hit points. We aim the shot straight through his lower plate with the premium round, which, yeah, 250 odd pen on this gun is not always guaranteed to go through the lower plate of that E100, because... yeah, if he angles, it could have been a bit awkward, but we did manage to shut him down. We're up to 3.1k damage in, what, probably 1.5 minutes of fighting. because we spent a bit of time driving to this front line. We've now got the Highlander on the corner. He's managed to fire a few shots. In fact, he fired one at my friend, and he's just fired two at me and missed all of them. So we're just going to keep trying to fire shots at his back end to keep him tracked in place. But in fact, we didn't track him that time, but we did set him on fire. And I'm not sure what this guy had done. I think he just gave up with the tracking shot. Oh, after he fired his clip, he missed all three. And we shot that guy down. Now we've got a Death Star coming for us, and that is a risky peek. That was risky. The Death Star, we tracked and penned there, and my plan is to basically keep trying to track and pen him to stop him from progressing and getting right up close to me, because, well, yeah, he could kill me in one shot with AP rounds, which would not be good. And if he's firing Hesh, he's not always guaranteed to go through us with his 240 Hesh pen. In fact, he will struggle to go through us a little bit with his 240 Hesh pen unless he hits us flat in the lower plate. So this is why I'm side scraping, because I'm thinking if he's firing Hesh, he's not always going to go through me. We go for the outside drive wheel with the pen as well, but sadly we didn't get it. And he's driving up, and I'm like, well, I'm boned now. We get the shot into his drive wheel again. The artillery did hit him. He hits us, and I'm not sure he fired AP. He must have fired AP right and low rolled like a mad lad. That must have been what happened, but we keep him tracked and penned, and we're up to 6.3k damage in that short space of time. This is what I'm saying about this gun. It racks up damage very, very quickly. It's a very, very consistent gun, and for being the best gun on the tank, it is definitely this tank. This gun that's the one to pick. English is hard. So, there's only 6 tanks left on the enemy team, and I was looking at the enemy team list, and I was like, hang on a minute, the heavy tanks that were in front of us as well, the 259A, the QL, they've gone back to base. Okay, let's see if we can get up behind this AVRE, who is up at G3. I was fully expecting him to stay up and fight the medium tank, but I'd stopped paying attention to where he was going, which is going to be a mistake. He was clearly charging down the hill on the map. In my brain, he was still up there waiting for the medium tank to join him at H5. So I'm like, okay, let's get up behind him. Oh boy, that's an AVRE. Oh no, and sadly the AVRE shuts us down. But thankfully, our team manages to carry us to the victory, and we finished the game with 2 kills, 6.6k damage, 1391 assistance, the ace tanker, the high caliber, the sniper medal, with 2.5k base XP. A really great game in a bottom tier matchup for the Orochi there. Doesn't always go like that because, yeah, tier 10s will shred your armor because that's the problem with the Japanese heavies. It's typical Japanese heavies problems, but if you played the Japanese heavies, you know what that's all about. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.